Welcome into the Boston Sports Summit. I am your host, Tim Barner. We are presented by the Grid Network. We are on the Grid Network, and it is a special Friday edition of the Boston Sports Summit where we're going to be talking about some Patriots, previewing their upcoming game versus the Rams. We got some Red Sox talk and whether or not Juan Soto may or may not be a future Boston Red Sox. I mean, kind of that's why I got the jersey, hopefully. And then we're going to go into a little Bruins and then maybe touch on the Celtics just a little bit. But first, we're going to be talking about the Patriots first and foremost because it is Friday. The Patriots are playing on Sunday. They got a big-time game versus the LA Rams. Both teams are the Rams are coming off a loss. The Patriots are coming off their win. Patriots may or may not be finding their stride, whereas the Rams are just kind of a middling team. And when I think about the Patriots right now, okay, my leadoff thought with the Pats is this Patriots team better than the team last year? Which is kind of a loaded question because you have the 2023 Patriots through 10 weeks. They were 2-8. This Patriots team through 10 weeks is 3-7. So on the one hand, you're like, yeah, of course they're better. Hold the phone. In 2023, coming off of week 10, the Patriots were entering their bye in week 11. And week 10 was that infamous Mac Jones disaster out in Germany versus the Colts. Whereas week 10 for the Patriots, they went into Chicago versus the number one overall draft pick in Caleb Williams and proceeded to beat them to a pulp. So, yeah, everything looks good. But when I look at it, are there some different? Is this Patriots team better than the one last year? As a whole, I would say no. I would say they're the same. And what I mean by that is, okay, sure, the Patriots do have a one-game better record through 10 weeks than the one from last year. But this year, yes, we have the better quarterback, but our O-line is considerably worse. The more like how many offensive linemen we've gone through. We don't have David Andrews. We really can't figure out our tackle position. And then when you look at our receivers, Kendrick Bourne has been hurt. He hasn't done much. Then you look at Kayshon Boutte, which I think Kayshon Boutte's actually been our best receiver this year. But then KJ Osborne kind of been a bum. Jalen Polk, maybe his rookie season would have been different had he got that foot down against Miami. He would have caught more balls. I don't know. But when you look at that, I think the receivers last year were better than the ones this year. And again, by leaps and bounds, no, of course not. Both teams suck. Let's be honest. From a talent perspective, both teams are not good. Okay? Like that's why I have the Patriots doing worse. I had them finishing last. I had them being, a top 3 overall draft pick again. And it's not that I want that to happen. It's just when I look on paper, that's what I get. And then when you go on to the defensive side of the football, we don't have Matthew Judon. We had him last. Do we have him? Yeah, we had him last year, but then he did get hurt. I forget if it was near the end of the season, midway through the season. But Judon got hurt, and so did Gonzalez. Oh, that's right. They both got hurt against Dallas, week 4. So both of them. But defensively, yes, we lost Judon. Gonzalez is playing right now. But I think the defense has taken a massive step back. And I'm not saying because we lost Judon or, we lost Lawrence Guy or even Steve Belichick. I think the loss of Bill Belichick has played a massive role as to why the Patriots are not where they're at right now. Defensively, yes, Christian Gonzalez, stud. Everything I said at the beginning of the season, I take it back, okay? My bad. Because the dude has come to play. He is arguably one of the top corners in the league. Shutdown corner. We've played, what was it? We played 60% man coverage against Chicago last season. And yeah, Rome Odunze did not see the ball, if at all. Okay, so he is really, really killing it. But like I said, I think there is marginal losses and marginal victories when you look at the 2023 Patriots and the 2024 Patriots. Now, if the 24 Patriots could somehow leak out 5, maybe 6 wins, I think now it's more doable because of Drake May. Straight up because of Drake May. You know, the way this kid has played since he stepped on the field against Houston, he's looked like the future of this team. He has looked like the guy that you want, you know, that you would take draft number 1 overall, basically. And I'm not saying that he should have been the number 1 overall draft pick because, again, we had no idea. The only reason why I was for damn sure that Caleb Williams would not be a good NFL quarterback is his off-the-field mental issues, you know, with the whole painting of the nails, not showing up, the USC team after their bowl win, which he was not a part of, after their bowl win, they're all chanting, "We a team now." I think that kind of tells you a lot. Him crying in his mother's arms, like there's a lot going on. And listen, I'm not denying Caleb Williams' football talent. I'm not. The kid is ultra talented. But when you take some of those mental issues, maybe those locker room issues, you know, that'll play a massive role in whether or not that kid's going to succeed in the NFL. And not for nothing, between Chicago, Washington, and New England, when you look at those 3 rosters, where would you want to be as a rookie quarterback? Chicago. Washington, I think it's in that exact order. Where would you want to be? If you're telling me you'd want to be in New England or you'd want to be in Washington, I think you're fooling yourself because yes, the offensive line for Chicago is not good, but the talent around Williams, that's huge. Now, Washington does have a better offensive line, but Jaden Daniels is still running around, still, you know, doing his thing. Some of it's designed by Cliff Kingsbury and some of it's not. But okay, they got Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson's been hurt a lot. Austin Eckler's aging out. Terry McLaurin's my guy. I love Terry McLaurin. But then that's it. And then, of course, New England's New England. So I like Drake May. I'm a big Drake May guy. And the funny thing is, I was scrolling through Twitter or X. And by the way, if you haven't, follow me on X at Boss Sports Summit. Boston Sports Summit on Instagram as well. But scrolling through X, and Barstool just signed John Gruden, and they had him watching the Redskins, the Commanders. I know, to me they are, but the Commanders-Eagles game last night, and Drake May came up. And take a listen to what Gruden had to say about Drake May.
Drake
Dave's
May
a
or
troll.
Caleb Williams?
Drake May. Dave's the one who said we should put in Tyson Bagent. I said he doesn't have arm strength.
That's not me. That's him.
Is that pre-draft or
Drake May is going to be a superstar. Drake May is going to be everything you're looking for. 5-star. Badass. He's a horse, man. Huh?
Is he? You like him over Jaden or not?
I love him.
John Gruden. I love John Gruden. Been a big John Gruden fan for a long time. Especially when he was calling the Monday night games. So fun to listen to, fun to watch. Very, very smart when it comes to football and you know what it takes. But so with all that being said, like I said, that's kind of my leadoff thought. Is this Patriots team better than the one last year? Let me know in the comments down below. But my next thought is Alex Van Pelt. Okay, you know me. I have been an anti-Van Pelt guy from the beginning. I looked at him. I looked at TC McCartney. I still have this up. When I'm trying to build an offensive staff for my rookie quarterback, the guy that I want to lead my rookie quarterback, somebody that I'm looking at thinking, okay, this guy is going to be the one to develop my quarterback for the next at least 3 years, right? When I think about that, I am not thinking of Alex Van Pelt, who never called plays in his career and bounced around the league for a handful of times. Then you're telling me he brings in TC McCartney as the quarterback's coach, who really, has only been a quarterback's coach once in his career. So and then Ben McAdoo is, well, Ben McAdoo. He's just look at what he did in New York. Look at how New York talks about him. All right. So I think that's your proof right there. But reports came out by Burt Breer saying that Patriots ownership is calling around asking, quote, how to handle a young quarterback. And when that drops, that's how to handle a young quarterback. You have ownership reaching out, trying to figure this out. Does that make any sense? Because if you're trying to figure that out, I don't know, wouldn't you have figured it out last year in week 11 when you were ready to fire Bill Belichick but let him finish the season? You had the bye week. You had October, late October, whatever that game was, all the way up until the draft where you knew you were the third overall pick by that point, and you knew you were taking Drake May. It's Williams, Daniels, May. That's fine. But you bring in Gerard Mayo. You don't even interview Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson, whoever else basically was out there to be had. You don't interview them. You don't learn about what they want for offenses and who they would target for their offensive coordinator. You're like, nah, we're just going to stick with the guy we know in Gerard Mayo, who has only been coaching in the league for 5 years and is wildly inexperienced to the point where you saw it with how they hired an offensive coordinator. Alex Van Pelt was the 12th guy, all right? Like, that's where it boggles my mind. So, you had all this time, and now, 10 weeks into the season, you're basically letting Alex Van Pelt know that you're not long for New England. Now, don't get me wrong. I said on Tuesday, Van Pelt is not good. If you looked at his stats, them in Chicago, offensively, both teams ranked near last in almost every category. I think rush yards per game was the only category. The Patriots were middle of the pack. So outside of that, you're now asking people around the league how to handle a young quarterback. That should have been taken care of during the interview process. That should have been done. And what it leads me to believe is that, obviously, Van Pelt is not long for New England. Does that make me happy? Yeah, a little bit. But it's not to the effect where I'm jumping up and down knowing that, hey, us getting rid of Van Pelt is going to solve all our issues. Because it's not. Because then, like I mentioned on Tuesday, the issue with that is, okay, you fire Van Pelt. Are you going to do it during the season or are you going to do it after the season? If you do it after the season, who are you going to get? Yeah, I think New England is more of a destination now after seeing what Drake May has been able to do. Like beforehand, everybody's like, oh, Drake May's the worst quarterback. Yes, he's third overall, but he's not pro ready. He's going to take some time. His footwork's garbage, this, that, and the other. Like they just were basically crapping all over Drake May from the beginning. But now Drake May's playing. Drake May looks good. All right, maybe New England is a good destination for me to go to work with the kid. We worked together for a few years. He kills it. We kill it. There. Now I'm long for a head coach position in the NFL because I'm an offensive guy. I can work with a young quarterback. And all that being said, Drake May is going to have to learn an entirely new system in his second year, which we all know. Look what happened to Mac Jones when that happened. Josh McDaniels made Mac Jones look like a halfway decent quarterback. But now with but then obviously Belichick brings in Patricia and Judge to work with Mac, and Mac was all butthurt about it because he worked with Steve Sarkisian at Alabama. He worked with Josh McDaniels, and now he's got to work with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. Whereas Bailey Zappi walks into the fray, he has no friggin' clue because he comes from the middle of nowhere state and is like, oh, all right, well, these are my offensive coordinators. I don't know any better. So, all right, let me just do what they say. Even though myself, you, Mac Jones, we all knew that having Matt Patricia and Joe Judge as co-OCs was going to be the worst idea, and it was. But that royally screwed up Mac Jones for the next 2 years, which is why we fought, basically let him go or traded him and grabbed Drake May. So I don't think we're going to regress so far as to hire an OC, a competent OC in that with Alex Van Pelt to then bring in, Richard Seymour and Ty Law, like as offensive coordinators. I'm just throwing them out there because they're defensive guys, but, or better yet, DeMarcus Covington, we're going to move from DC to OC next season? No, we're not going to do that. That's utterly ridiculous. And so, yeah, I feel like we have the ability to work with Drake May and to make him better by bringing in a new offensive coordinator. The only thing with that is, who's it going to be? Is it going to be one of these Shanahan McVay guys? Or is it going to be another AVP? Is it going to be another Mike McCarthy who just runs a simple yet boring scheme and has more play calling experience? But if the scheme is boring, if the scheme is not creative enough to get guys open, that's the thing. There's a reason why the West Coast offense worked in the late 70s and 80s. There's a reason why, the Shanahan McVay offense works now. Has worked for the last, 6 to 10 years. Hell, even if you want to even go back to Washington with RG3 when Shanahan was the OC there, it worked then. So I just don't want to screw the kid up. That's the thing, because he knows the AVP system. If we move to the Shanahan McVay system, which is arguably now the better system in the NFL, how much of that is going to take a toll on Drake May? Now, I don't think he's going to put up a stink like Mac Jones did, but is that going to throw his timing off? Is that going to throw his footwork off and how he gets rid of the ball? That's really where the question lies. And that's why, with this report being out there that the owners are asking how to handle a young quarterback, my follow-up to that is, who put this out there? Because I highly doubt Robert or Jonathan Kraft want this out there. That the rest of the league Maybe the inner circles, that's fine. But the rest of the league and the fans now know the Patriots are calling on, other teams and saying, hey, how did you handle a young quarterback who's got potential and didn't screw him up? Because we screwed up our last kid in Mac Jones. How do we not screw up Drake May? And then, of course, I think the final question is that I want you to answer in the comments down below. Is this a good thing for the Patriots? With this report being out there, is this what the Patriots need? Or is it not? Let me know in the comments down below. But moving on to my preview of the Rams-Patriots game. It's going to be taken, obviously, at home, Gillette Stadium, One Patriot Place, Foxborough, Massachusetts. It's going to be a good one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. The Rams are coming into this game as -4.5 favorites. And when I look at the comparisons of the positions, right, I would give their offense the better, the check mark, right? Yeah, sorry about the line at linebacker, the linebacker line there. That was to help keep me level, so that all the check marks, are aligned perfectly. But when I look at the offense, so first of all, you got Matt Stafford versus Drake May at quarterback. That's a no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. You're taking Matt Stafford over Drake May. And I'm just saying for this one game. Obviously, for the next 5 seasons, give me Drake May. But this one game here and now, yes, I am taking Matt Stafford. Then, when you looked at the running backs, okay, you got Kyren Williams versus Ramondre Stevenson. I would still lean towards Kyren Williams because while Stevenson may have put up more numbers and Williams has been hurt, I think that Kyren Williams over the last 2 years has been the better running back over Ramondre Stevenson. And then when you look at the wide receivers, that's a no-brainer. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, done, ball game. That's it. That's easy money. And then for the offensive line, the Rams obviously have the better O-line. They've allowed only 21 sacks, which is 11th best in the NFL, whereas the Patriots haven't only allowed 1 sack last week and have the possibility for the first time this season to play back-to-back games with the same offensive line. That's pretty big. The Pats O-line is 4th worst, allowing 32 sacks this season. And so right then and there, I give basically the offensive edge to LA. I do. But then when you look at the defensive side of the football, and I'm going to show you the defensive comparison in just a second, but it's basically I give the offense to LA, the defense to New England, and then I give the special teams to New England, not by much, but just enough because they are tied for field goal percentage, New England and LA. But New England is perfect in the amount of extra points they made, whereas LA is 3rd to last in the league while making 88.2% of their extra points. So I think that's a pretty big discrepancy right there. And that's why I give the special teams edge to New England. And when I look at the defensive comparisons that I mentioned, LA and New England, when you look at the points per game, LA allows 24.1 points per game. New England's got 22 points per game. You have the yards per game, obviously favoring New England again, with the yards per game being 347.1 to 339.5 yards per game, LA to New England, respectively. Pass yards, LA has 10 more pass yards per game than New England. Run yards per game, LA is 3 yards better than New England. But then when you look at the sacks, New England has 25 to 24 sacks. And while, yes, New England is better in the sack by 1 compared to LA's defense, you have to also take into account New England sacked Caleb Williams 9 times. 9 times. One of which was with Brandon friggin' Schooler, the special teams kid. So, with that being said, I'm kind of like, I feel like that number is slightly deceptive. That the sack number is slightly deceptive. I would argue the Rams probably have a better front in terms of getting to the quarterback. But when you sack them 9 times, when you sack one player 9 times, I feel like that's enough right there where you're kind of like, okay, that number is skewed instantly. But then when you look at the interception and fumbles, LA has 9 interceptions to New England's 4, and both teams have gotten 4 fumbles from their opponents, and the turnover differential is +2 for LA, whereas New England is -4. And so, yes, while I do give the position comparisons to New England over the Rams, I'm still going to hold true to that. There is something to be said about the Pats and the Rams, with the two defenses going against one another. It's close. It's not like there is this big margin where the Pats defense is top 5, whereas LA's defense is 20th. No, they're tight. They're close together. And so looking at the season ranks, you have LA, like I mentioned, is 4-5, whereas the Pats are 3-7. The LA is 20th in points scored. New England is 31st. Total yards, LA is 17th. New England is last. Points allowed, LA is 22nd to New England being 13th. And yards allowed, LA is 22nd again, whereas yards allowed for New England, they're 19th. And as I mentioned, the Rams are 4.5-point favorites in this game. So all of that being considered, I think this will be a close game for, I think, most of it. I think the fourth quarter is where LA is going to separate themselves. I think it's going to be kind of that first quarter feel out a little bit because it's not often the Rams and the Patriots play each other. So that's where I think it's going to change. I think that first quarter is going to be that kind of feel out unless Matt Stafford can hit Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua and get a 40, 50-yard plus touchdown out of the deal. If that happens right out of the gate, I think it's not that I think the Pats will lay down after one touchdown, but I think it would go to show, hey, you know what? Maybe these guys are just too good offensively. And so with that being said, I do think LA is going to come out on top, and I know I said it last week. I know I picked the Bears last week, but I think LA is going to come out on top 28-17 against the Patriots in Gillette Stadium. And I'm not calling this. I'm not saying that the Rams need a get-right game. I don't, because they had a tough loss to Miami, in LA. But with this game, I think May is still too raw to really create a lot. Like, yes, the Rams do allow more pass yards, more rush yards. I think it's going to be interesting. Don't get me wrong, but the matchup of the week, when you're really looking at it, is Christian Gonzalez versus Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua. I just put both of them in there because I'm pretty sure that Gonzalez is going to match up on Nacua just because Gonzalez is 6'1", 6'2". Nacua, I think, is 6'3". So they're both big bodies. But yeah, I think that's going to be the matchup. I feel like whoever wins that matchup is how this game's going to go. The Rams wide receivers versus the Patriots DBs. Whoever can win that matchup are the ones that are going to win this game. So with that being said, I do think that the experience is going to triumph in this game. It's going to beat the Patriots. I hate to say it, but you know what? If I was a betting man, give me the Rams in this game. So next, I want to move on to the Boston Red Sox because the Red Sox obviously made some big news this week. Some news that gets me to my leading thought for the Red Sox. I don't want to buy it, but are the Red Sox for real this time? We have Tom Werner coming off last year, saying the Sox, we're going to be going full throttle. Obviously, they didn't. Werner backed up his comments. And then you have Sam Kennedy talking all about, the Red Sox and the spending and trying not to talk about spending, them getting angry at their postseason press conference. So I can't. I don't want to buy it. I do not want to buy that the Red Sox are going to be spending this offseason. I don't, because I don't want to look like oh God, it's escaping my name. Hawkeye in the Avengers Endgame, where he turns into Ronin and is like, don't give me hope. Don't give me hope. I don't want that. I don't want hope because it's only going to piss me off when things just don't work out. But they made news this week because they met with Juan Soto last night. And that's kind of a big deal. I like Juan Soto. The dude is 26 years old. He is a stud hitter. He's one of the best hitters, if not the best hitter in the league right now. And so they met with him. Now, the funny part is everybody and their mother, if you're watching Felger and Maz, you're watching or you're listening to some of these, guys who are negative all the time about the Red Sox, which again, I'm one of them. With the way things have gone since they traded Mookie Betts, I'm one of those guys. But I'm also a fan. I also want that superstar player. And trust me, it pisses me off that they wouldn't spend the money for Mookie Betts. And I've been over that a million times. But we're going after Juan Soto. The guy's 26 years old. He is the best hitter in Major League Baseball. And if we could pair him up with Rafael Devers, oh my God, would that be a reminiscent David Ortiz, Manny Ramirez 3-4 lineup? Like just stud. But everybody like Felger and Maz are freaking out over the fact that the Red Sox are pursuing, wait for it, another left-handed bat, because Red Sox are loaded with left-handed bats in their lineup and with their futures coming up. Roman Anthony, I think Kyle Teal's left-handed, Christian Campbell, I think Marcelo Meyer might be right-handed. So again, just off the top of my head. But when I'm reading these and I'm hearing these arguments about they shouldn't do it because he's left-handed. You're already a left-handed loaded lineup. It's like, oh my God, they're not going to sign the best hitter in baseball because he's left-handed? Yes, because that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, hell, if Juan Soto does decide to come play for the Red Sox, whatever will they do? Having a left-handed loaded lineup. I mean, really? Really? Is this what we're going to get hung up on? Are we going to get hung up on the fact that we have 8 of our 9 hitters as lefties? Or are we going to get hung up on the fact that we just signed a 26-year-old free agent, which how rare is that, we signed a 26-year-old free agent who is arguably the best hitter in baseball right now, and we're pairing him with another great hitter in Rafael Devers. And yeah, is Devers going to be expensive where in probably the next 2-3 years, he's going to be more of a DH than a third baseman? Yeah, but you know what? Who cares? You have two excellent, great hitters. You have guys who are making their way through the minors and are going to give you what? 5-6 years of team control? Like, guys, come on. And you don't think we're going to make moves? We can't make moves if we sign Juan Soto? If we sign Juan Soto, then I'm bought in. Then I'm back. I am back. You know what? Charge whatever the hell you want. Well, actually, don't charge whatever the hell you want for Fenway, but make sure it's reasonable that guys like me, just who can only spend X amount, like that can get into the friggin' ballpark and watch the damn game. Like that's what kills me, ticket prices. But, like if we sign Juan Soto, that doesn't mean we can't go out and sign a Corbin Burns. We can't trade for Garrett Crochet. We can't sign a Max Fried. We can go out and sign these guys. Again, I've said it time and time again. The Fenway Sports Group has all the money in the effing world. They can do whatever the hell they want. But if they're too, like that's what pisses me off. They're too damn cheap, to make it worth their while for the Boston Red Sox, to make this team actually worth something. Now they're going out and they're trying to sign Juan Soto. Hell, the Red Sox, quote unquote, impressed Juan Soto in their 3-hour meeting last night. They had a presentation which included a video showing the franchise's history of star players who were from the Dominican Republic. Allegedly Ortiz hung out with Soto the night before he met with the Red Sox. And David Ortiz called Juan Soto the next David Ortiz in Boston. I don't know, but that's kind of high praise. I mean, seeing as I got the Ortiz shirt and the 04 patch, which kind of means something, right? So I think it's good. I think this is a great step. Now, hopefully, fingers crossed, he wants to come play for the Red Sox because he will be the guy. Yes, Juan Soto will take the place of Rafael Devers of being the guy. And you know what? I think Devers might be okay with that. I don't know Devers from a hole in the wall. But just judging on instances, because right now, Rafael Devers is the face of the Boston Red Sox. And some guys love it. Some guys hate it. Sometimes you just have to deal with it. But in this case, I think this would be great for Rafael Devers because he won't be the face of the guy, or he won't be the face of the team. And he could just go play his game, do his thing. And yeah, he's still going to, we're still going to get on him if he sucks, or we're going to praise him if he's good. I mean, which fan base wouldn't do that? But I think having Juan Soto there would be a nice change of pace for him. The only thing that I'm wondering is this is the first meeting. That's what everyone's talking about. It's the first meeting. All right. And no formal offer was made. Little surprising, but the other surprising bit is that Alex Cora was there, Craig Breslow, Sam Kennedy, and Tom Werner. Yes. This. You know what? I just lost it. Oh, yes. This Tom Werner.
To start a cheer. Let's go Red Sox. Let's go Red Sox. Let's go Red Sox.
Go Red Sox.
Yeah, that guy. So I don't mind it. I wish they kind of brought out the Celtics bag. They brought back Tom Brady. They brought David Ortiz. They brought Pedro Martinez. Like, they brought those guys. But for what it seems like, this is a good first meeting. Now, I think there's at least two guys there that I'm a little surprised didn't make the trip, one of which being John Henry. Now, of course, John Henry, I think we all know, like, I would have been shocked if he made that trip, just based on his recent history and kind of how he, interacts do with all these things. I feel like he just wants to kind of he hires these guys to do this job and that so that he doesn't have to be there. But you're telling me that when Juan Soto meets with the Yankees and Mets, that Hal Steinbrenner and I think David Cohn, not David Cohn, but Cohen aren't gonna be there. I think they are. So those are the kind of instances where I am a little surprised. But I really am more surprised that, Theo Epstein wasn't there. I thought we brought Theo back into the fold. Now, is he just going to be a part owner of the team, or is he actually doing stuff with the team? Is he part of, maybe not the day-to-day, but is he kind of overseeing some things? Is Sam Kennedy and Breslow going to Theo and talking to him about certain situations and what they should do? Because this would have been a great opportunity to bring Theo into the fold, to meet with Juan Soto, as well as talk to Scott Boras, who Theo and Boras have dealt with each other a lot. And to have that knowledge of how to deal with Scott Boras, I thought would have been great. Great to have. So, again, very productive meeting. Soto was impressed. I like the sound of that. Maybe the Red Sox are going to get a second meeting because allegedly Soto is not going to sign until the winter meetings or a few days out, maybe a week prior to the winter meeting. So still got a couple more weeks till that. And I think that's really, really good. It's a really good sign. And my hope is that, listen, if Juan Soto decides to go to New York over coming to Boston, then my hope is that the Red Sox are going to have the gumption to be like, listen, this was our offer. Bam. Here it is. Here was our offer. 13 by 6, 6.25, right? And if that's the case, then at least we know the ballpark. But if they do the same thing and Juan Soto goes to New York, God forbid, he goes to New York and they're like, hey, just want to let you know that we were in on Soto. We really wanted Soto. He was at the top of our wish list. Okay, then what did you offer him? Oh, well, we're not going to disclose that information. Why not? Well, we don't want to. Okay, well, if you don't disclose that information, it's going to lead me and the rest of you all to believe that you weren't near the ballpark in which he signed. And I understand that it is a business. Owning a sports team is a business. Absolutely. Totally understand. You want to make good business deals. But when you have a free agent like Juan Soto at the age of 26, you know what? 13-6, 14-7. I think it'd be worth it. Get him till his late 30s. Yeah, I would do that deal if I were the Red Sox, and then deal with the aftermath of, oh my God, we have too many left-handed hitters. Oh, what are we gonna do? Yeah, I'll take my chances. Let's put it that way. So, leading from the Red Sox, meeting with free agents, to the Bruins now, who are dealing with just an awful start to the season. The funny part is, it's not like they've only won 2 games, but sometimes it feels like they've only won 2 games. Because right now, they're sitting at 8-8. And my leading thought is, what is wrong with this team? Have we finally just, do we finally just have to hit that reset button and just break it all down to build it back up again? And I don't mean that from the standpoint of I want to suck, be the first overall draft pick for the next 5 years. just to wait to get that guy. And then we get the guy, and then we have to build everything up. Like, no, I don't want that. But what I'm saying is we're going to have to make some tough moves right now. And I think that starts, obviously, with the head coaching. The Bruins got their asses kicked last night. They got their asses kicked. Again, losing 7-2. Like, that's just unacceptable. I don't care if Dallas is better than you, fine. But that's the beauty about hockey, and it's the beauty of an 82-game schedule, is that anything can happen. Trust me, when I've watched plenty of these games, I've gone into it saying the Bruins are head and shoulders better than this team. And then they lose by 1, maybe 2 if you include the empty netter, or they lost by 2 straight up. And then there were times when the Bruins shoulders are head and shoulders better, and they go out and win. And they crush that team. But with this, like, it's just unacceptable. They're what? 8-2 now on the season, the Bruins. And Nikita Zadorov, after the game last night, said, quote, "We just got embarrassed today." Dude, it's not today. It was not just last night that you got embarrassed. Okay? Because it's been all season. 4 of the 8 losses the Bruins have come by 4 or more goals this season. All right? So, yes, technically the Bruins have lost 10 times, 8-2, 2 overtime losses. But no, I'm just talking about the straight-up losses that you lose in regulation. Half of those losses have come by 4 or more goals. So, no, Nikita, I hate to burst your bubble, dude, but you weren't just embarrassed last night. You've been embarrassed. Half your losses, you're an absolute embarrassment. The whole team is. And I hate to admit it, but Marchand's getting old. He's done. You had the rumors a couple weeks ago that Marchand was close to a 3-year deal, and Marchand himself came out and said, no, that's not even close. In which case, I know for a fact that if he doesn't retire at the end of the season, then I think he's delusional on his ability. Because right now he sucks. The whole team is garbage. Pasternak, still really hasn't done enough, in my opinion, to play, to be acceptable for how he plays. If he was if he had 25 goals right now, and again, I know I'm overshooting here, but for the way he plays, if he had 25 goals right now, great. But when you look at it, everybody is on pace for less points than what they had last year. I don't think there's a single Bruin who was on the Bruins last year that is on the Bruins right now that is on pace for more points than what they had last year. That's how bad this team is right now. And speaking of how bad this team is, I want to go to my favorite guy, Jeremy freaking Swayman. As you can see on the left side of the screen, that's his contract. 8 by 8.25, which is tied for 5th most amongst goalies in the NHL. And when you look at what he's done this season, he has given up 42 goals, which is the most goals allowed in the NHL. He has a 3.35 goals against average, which is the 7th highest goals against average in the NHL. And he's got an .888 save percentage, which is the 12th highest save percentage in the NHL amongst all goaltenders that have played 6 or more games. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. And for a guy who's making 8.25, nice job, Don. Nice job, Cam. You guys certainly know how to deal with players that are asking for way above their price range. Now, again, before I continue, is this the Jeremy Swayman that we've seen in the past? No, it is not. And I understand that. But there's that myth which sometimes is reality, where when a player gets his money, he gets the big contract, he then doesn't play up to his standards that he had going into that contract year. Now, of course, this is year 1 of year 8. And it's what? I don't think we've even hit 20 games this season. So, or no. 8-2, 16, 18. Maybe we have. Maybe we have hit 20. Again, I'm just doing this off the top of my head. But that's where you have to get your act together. Yeah. All right. We're at 18 games. Okay. 8-2. We're at 18 games this season. But the dude has to get his act together because he's played in 13 of the 18 games. He started 13 of the 18 games too. And to allow the most goals in the NHL, have the 7th highest goals against average, and to have the 12th highest save percentage in the NHL, I think what Don Sweeney and Cam Neely did by signing him to that contract was an absolute joke. I thought about it then. I thought it was a joke then. Now it's still a joke to me. I'm just being proven right. I hate that, but I'm being proven right that contract was awful. And that, you know what? If Swayman was going to die on the hill, 2 things should have happened. Number 1, you wait until December 1st when the restricted free agents either have to play on their qualified tender or they sit out the entire year. You wait until that, because I guarantee you that somewhere right around this time right now, Swayman would have just signed it and tried to play the rest of the year. Right? Because not for nothing, Korpisalo has not been terrible. Okay? Korpisalo has, I think, a 900 save percentage as it stands. So if he has, he's got exactly a 900 save percentage. Doing a hell of a lot better than Jeremy Swayman there. For a guy who's making, $3-4 million? Yeah. Right now, give me Korpisalo as the starter versus Swayman. And I know Swayman could be a better goalie. I've seen it. The playoffs, he was astounding. But right now, it's not enough. It's not enough. He sucks. This team sucks. And there's got to be some things coming from the top down, whether it's we got to find a new GM, we definitely need to find a new head coach, because he certainly has lost his sway, pun intended. He's lost his sway with the locker room. Benching Pasternak for the 3rd period, doing the shove on Marchand. It hasn't worked. Leaving Swayman in last night for all 7 goals hasn't worked. The team is not rallying around it. They're still playing like this. So I either this season or the end of the season, stuff has to change. Stuff has to change. I would prefer sooner rather than later. And for everybody that wants to say, oh, well, Montgomery's won a lot of games and there's 2 seasons as Brewers head coach. Yeah, he was given what should have been a championship team, his first season here, winning the most amount of games. And then, they still had a very good team last season. But I don't care. I don't care that he's won a lot of games. Because what has he done in the playoffs? Because while he's done enough to get to the playoffs every single season, has he done anything in the playoffs outside of beat the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are just the classic Toronto Maple Leafs, always finding ways to blow it? No, he hasn't. So I say, probably a nice guy. I know he's dealt with some stuff, but he's probably a nice guy. I hate to advocate for firing people, but outside of, another massive move, maybe trading Brad Marchand or trading David Pasternak, or, just really blowing up the roster like that, I don't know what else, this team can do to pull themselves out of this funk right now. Because it's not like they've been in a funk for a couple games. No, they've been in a funk since the start of the season. And maybe Swayman's contract has had the ripple effect that we didn't want to believe. So I just want to move on now to the Celtics just for a quick second, because the Celtics, my leadoff thought with them is, are the Celtics suffering from a championship hangover? Because while they annihilated the Knicks in the opening game, which was great to watch, they really haven't done enough. I gave them credit on Tuesday, if not last week, for being a team that, even though they're down double digits, if not in the 20s, will still fight back. But then they played the Hawks on Tuesday. And I wrote the Hawks off. I go, oh, no Trae Young, no Bogdanovich. 3 other guys are out for Atlanta. NBA Cup or in-season tournament, whatever the hell it's called. I was like, it's a foregone conclusion the Celtics are going to win. They blew the Hawks out by 30. They blew the Hawks out by 30 at home a couple weeks ago. Now they're on their own home court. And the Hawks still don't have Trae Young. Guess what? The Celtics played around with their food. They got comfortable. They had a 15-point second half lead just to lose 117 to 116. And of course, the very next night, the Celtics blow out the Nets, which, all right, hey, you at least saw what you did the night prior and followed up with a blowout win. All right? But I'm looking at it going, sometimes this team just feels like they're playing around with their food again. They're going back to the ways that they played while Marcus Smart was here. Like those, they got comfortable. They saw the roster. They looked at what was going on, and they're thinking like me, which is like, oh, yeah, all we have to do is show up. That's it, and we're gonna win. That's not how it works. Last season, they were deliberate with everything that they did. They were deliberate with every game. That's why they won. They won it all. Yeah, there were some tougher games, through the regular season, but that's what's scaring me right now with the Celtics team. Now, don't get me wrong. This team is still head and shoulders above the rest of the NBA. I still believe that this is the deepest, most talented roster in the NBA. But kind of similar to the Bruins. They need to they need to get their act together and do it consistently, time after time after time, game after game after game. That's what it takes. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Are the Celtics suffering from a championship hangover? Because I think so. Let me know in the comments down below. So, thank you guys so much for tuning into the Friday edition of the Boston Sports Summit, previewing Patriots, Rams talking, Red Sox, Soto, Bruins sucking, and then the Celtics suffering from a championship hangover? Maybe. So appreciate you guys listening. I am your host, Tim Barnett. This is the Boston Sports Summit presented by the Grid Network. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tune in. Don't forget to follow me on all the social media platforms and also follow the Grid Network, because that's where I am every single time we go live, the Grid Network's YouTube channel, and you get a whole host of great content from great sports guys on the Grid Network. So if you haven't, subscribe. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys next week. Have a great weekend, and God bless.